Hi everyone, Ted Wyman here with another edition of On the Rocks, the video edition. I'm joined again by six-time Canadian champion Jill Officer to talk about the Scotties Tournament of Hearts in the bubble in Calgary. Neither of us are actually there, but we've been watching it like crazy. And Jill, I'd just like to get your first impressions of the first weekend of the Scotties.
Well, you know what? Just how excited are you to be watching? I was just buzzing all day on Friday in anticipation of being able to watch some curling and feel that connection to the curling community, and follow online and follow on social media. And so my first impression was just overall excitement that everybody was coordinating to make this happen in the bubble, that they got it off the ground. Like, how amazing. Like, that was, I think, part of my concern going into it too, is just I hope they at least get it off the ground, like, and get games underway. So it's just been great watching. It took a couple of draws to adjust to no background noise, no fans, but overall I'm just really thrilled to be able to be able to watch curling.
And what do you think about the curling on the ice so far? I mean, it's obvious that some teams were rusty. It's obvious that some teams weren't quite ready for arena ice as the first ice they were going to play on all season. Greg Owasco's great swingy ice. What were your impressions of how teams handled that?
Yeah, I think there was certainly some adjustments to be made, and I think we saw some changes in the ice over the weekend as well, where teams were having a bit of a difficult time adjusting to certain spots in the ice. Overall, though, I think I'm not surprised to see the teams, like the top teams. I'm not surprised to see them come out and play really well. The other teams that maybe even have had ice time typically don't get as much practice as the elite teams, or as much playing time as the elite teams. So I wasn't totally surprised to see teams like Jones, Anderson, Homan, and stuff. That I wasn't totally surprised to see them playing really well right off the bat. I think there's just a lot of excitement to be out on the ice and to be out playing, and I think that goes a long way to your ability to perform at a high level. So.
Well, there was one real statement game on the weekend, and that was when the team Tracy Fleury, skipped by Chelsea Carey, went up against your old team, Jennifer Jones. And that was a pretty good shellacking.
It was, and I mean, like Fleury's team played well, and Chelsea's been really good so far this weekend. Unfortunately, Team Jones was not the normal Team Jones. Like, they really struggled, just with the ice and managing the rocks, and just executing overall. It's been a long time since I've seen that team play that poorly, really. So, not to take anything away from Tracy Fleury's team and Chelsea Carey, because they are playing well, and Chelsea particularly has stepped into that role quite nicely with Team Fleury. But there wasn't as much pressure as you would normally get from a Team Jones.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd want to bet against Chelsea Carey when she's got a chip on her shoulder and and is playing with a new team, because that's worked for her. This is the third time she's kind of come in with a new team into the Scotties, and the other two times she won it.
Yes, and the other two times she actually had time to play with the team, at least
Yeah.
for that season. So this is even more unique. But I think Chelsea gets a bad rap sometimes. I think she's a little underrated. I think she my time that I spent with them, with Chelsea's team at the Worlds in 2019, I really got a sense for Chelsea's head in terms of thinking about the game, and she's really quite smart, and she knows her stuff. And when she's good, she's good, and so far she's been good.
Yeah, and another team that I thought made a pretty good statement was the Rachel Homan team. There was some questions about them, new player and Sarah Wilkes. Rachel Homan, 8 months pregnant. Well, they looked pretty good on the weekend, and then had a big matchup with Alberta on Sunday night, which they won.
How good did they look? Yeah, I mean, I was super impressed, and I was super surprised that Rachel looks remarkably good for almost 8 months pregnant. I mean, her balance is ridiculous. She's throwing high hard ones like she hasn't missed a beat. Like, I was super impressed. I was like, wow, she looks really good. And they did make a statement as a team. I did think, as much as that game was close last night with Alberta, it wasn't the best played game. There was opportunities open on both sides. It was nice to watch a close game. There was certainly the teams were kind of handing it back and forth to each other a little bit, giving opportunities that weren't always being capitalized on. But I think that overall that team looks really good.
And another team that I think is an interesting one to watch here is the Laura Walker team out of Alberta. They lose that game to Rachel Homan in Ontario, but they start out 3-0, same as they did last year. You know, it seems like a team that's kind of there, a little bit on the cusp of being in that playoff mix. Do you think it looks like they kind of have a different mindset and maybe what it takes to get there this time?
I do think they have a bit of a different mindset. And I think that they've done a lot of work. They have a sports psychologist there with them as their coach. So this is going to be a key moment in their week right now. I think there was a lot of talk and has been a lot of talk about how they went 3-0 last year and then lost 4 in a row and didn't even make the championship round. So now they ended up losing a heartbreaker last night. And this is going to be a key moment for them in terms of whether they turn it around and they're able to bounce back and not let what happened last year creep in. So it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of days plays out for them. But I think that they're a team that should be in the championship round. So we'll see if they can pull through the mental challenge with it.
All right, Jill, fantastic analysis once again. Greatly appreciate you being here with us. I'm Ted Wyman for Jill Officer. You've been watching On the Rocks, the video edition.